John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Serious testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another mechanical head. Actually, I'd never even heard of this head till a viewer or two recommended it. It's by Killer Instinct Crossbows, and it's marketed as a crossbow head, the Killertech it's called. And but it can be used with vertical bows as well. I'm testing it with my vertical bow. That's just kind of their niche, is to market it as a crossbow broadhead. So whether you're shooting a crossbow and looking for a broadhead, or you're shooting a vertical bow, this will give you a bit of info about it. So I'm going to be using for this test my protocol for 2023. For a detailed description of that and why I do the tests I do, and how I quantify things and so forth, please check out the video I posted earlier this year called 2023 Broadhead Test Process. And you can also look right below the description. In the description of each video, I post the scores of how these heads performed in each of the tests. So for this, I'm going to be using my Bowtech CP28 set at 72 pounds. And I'm using Bishop FOC King arrows for most of the testing, but then I use the Bishop FAD Eliminator for the really hard impact stuff because they can handle it. All right, let's zoom on in here and go through some of the design features and specifications of this Killertech, and then let's put it to the test. So here's a good look at this 125 grain Killertech. Now it's marketed for crossbows, but you can use it with a vertical bow as well. It has a thicker ferrule which lines up with the diameter of bolts. But I use a thicker collar right here, so it lines up perfectly well with my arrows as well. So, man, really nice looking head. There's a super low profile. I imagine it's going to fly extremely well. I mean, very little of that comes out. It's got an aluminum ferrule here. I'm not sure what type of aluminum, but aluminum ferrule. Not sure how durable that's going to be because it's pretty vented. It's got a nice steel chisel tip here, and you notice that the cuts of the tip don't line up with those of the blade, so it's going to get a little extra cut for you here. And the blades don't have any kind of an O-ring or retention clip or anything. They're held in place by a friction design, an offset friction design, and then when they're impacted right there by the animal, they open up to their full cutting diameter there of 1.5 inches. And you notice that they're pretty swept back and then angled right there like that, just to aid in penetration as well as durability. And they really have a nice edge to them there, it looks like. Now these blades are super thick too. They're 0.058 inches thick, which is pretty rare for a mechanical broadhead. And again, the blades are slightly offset, if you can see it there. They're not exactly in the same plane, which is just going to produce a really nice wound channel to them, even with a relatively smaller cut. So eager to put this head to the test and see how it performs. It took 250 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 9.5 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated 8.5 inches, and I want to note that the blades fully deployed by the time they left the MDF, and they stayed fully deployed throughout the entire penetration in the gel. And here's a look at the entrance hole, which is just the size of the broadhead in the closed position. It took an additional 75 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is an 8.5 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 54 layers. It held up well after the 3 shots through the MDF. You can see the blades just got bent back just slightly, and they dug into the base of the ferrule. You can see where they dug in just a little bit there, but otherwise in excellent shape. And here it is after 2 shots through the steel plate, and it did pretty well through that. You can see the tip got a little bit blunted, and the blades got a little bit more curved back, and the ends of the blades, the really sharp portion, they got curled back into a little hook. Okay, it looks kind of funny like that. And then you can see the holes are just the holes from the broadhead in the closed position. But due to the thickness of the blades, it's still a relatively decent hole. So here it is after impacting the concrete, and man, as you can see, it made a pretty interesting shape here. Okay, you can see the ferrule got considerably bent there, and then here it is, just kind of bent off like that. And so, you know, it didn't do so well in the concrete. However, like I say all the time, this isn't a pass-fail test for the broadhead. It only accounts for 3% of the overall score. I think it's important to do because it does separate the super durable from the ones that can't handle that kind of an impact. However, this head did quite well through the MDF and through the steel plate as well. So what'd you think? And I tell you, I didn't know what to expect because I'd never heard of these broadheads, but there's a lot I really like about them. Love that low profile, love the super thick blades and the offset blades, love the price. They're just like $10 a head, and you know, that's hard to beat, like $30 for a pack of 3. And the penetration was decent. The durability was really pretty good. It did great through the steel plate and through the MDF especially. So you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most. See if this might be a good fit for you, whether you're using a crossbow or a vertical bow. And stay tuned for the total score that's coming up, as well as the corresponding LUS grade.